Claire Duncan and Sukhbinder Bakra are teachers at World's End Junior School in Birmingham. As part of their continuing professional development, they've collaborated in the planning of 2 science lessons, and they'll be reviewing how the lessons went later. The 2 teachers met with primary science consultant Rosemary Feasey to discuss how they might approach science more creatively and practice good CPD.
CPD works well when it has engaged the teacher. When the teacher feels that they've got something that has challenged them, makes them reflect on their own practice and encourages them to go back into the classroom or back into their school and move themselves and the children forward.
In Year 3's class, Claire began with a surprise box containing a teddy. She told the class a story about how he lost his sunglasses and would need some new ones. The children used light sensors to investigate the best materials for Teddy's sunglass lenses and made some spectacular frames. So, looking back, how do the teachers feel Claire's lesson went?
Rosemary was right. The children were so curious about the box.
They loved it, didn't they?
Yeah, and you had them there. You had the interest straight away. You'd ask a question and they'd make a suggestion.
Has anybody got any ideas what might be in my surprise box? Aaliyah?
A torch.
It's not a torch. Courtney?
A light bulb.
I was really pleased with that because they were definitely thinking about the topic. They just weren't making wild guesses. Wow. This is Barney, and we're going to make Barney some new sunglasses.
I think it's so important for them to have a sense of purpose. What's the point of our lesson?
Yes, I think that really helps.
Yeah.
And I hadn't considered that really before. It was very much we're going to do an investigation because we want to find the answer to this question. But there wasn't a real purpose to it. How are we going to test to see how much light the material lets through?
A light sensor.
We could use a light sensor, couldn't we? The other thing we need to remember is that we're going to make it a fair test.
As a Year 5 teacher, it really made me think because you brought in fair testing at an early age. As they come up to Year 5, they've had 2 years' experience of what a fair test is.
How many things do we change when we're doing a fair test? Lucy?
1.
Good girl, Lucy. And what thing do you think it's going to be for this fair test? Khalid?
So that everyone gets to go.
That's not really what I mean. It would make it fair, and we are going to make it fair, so everyone is going to get a go.
I loved Khalid saying, so every fair test, so everybody
gets a go. Yeah.
Because that's his understanding. What do you need to do next? I was so impressed that there was a DT task.
They linked really well.
Yeah.
It wasn't difficult to link the 2 subjects in this lesson.
Poppy, can I have your glue, please?
It was almost like they're a little team and we're making the sunglasses and you're finding the right lenses.
OK, I can see Matthew here has predicted that leather will let the most light through. Can you tell us why you've predicted leather will let the most light through?
It's not transparent.
Because it's not transparent. So think of your science words. What does transparent mean? Give me a sentence with the word transparent.
The windows is transparent.
Is the leather transparent?
No.
Right, can you all now have a look at the next sentence? It says, I predict that something will let the most light through. What have you predicted, George?
Purple film.
And why do you think the purple film will let the most light through?
Because it's transparent.
Is it transparent?
Translucent.
Translucent? It is.
Both groups predicted what they thought the best material would be.
prediction really difficult because they always want to be right.
Yeah.
They don't like to make predictions in case they get it wrong. And then which one lets the least light through at the bottom?
I think in this lesson it didn't feel scary for them. They were just so engrossed in the task.
Green film is transparent, OK? Let's put that and see what happens to that.
I was so curious about Khalid using the audible
Isn't that
lights.
wonderful?
High or low? High, so what does that mean? Is it letting in a lot of light or not much light? And loads of light through that. So, any good for sunglasses?
He was totally included in that group.
Yeah, and he met the objective.
That's right, and that was our big concern
It
because
was. I didn't think it would be possible.
Which material have you decided to use? Explain why. Cardboard, plastic.
You can come back and finish these off later on. I would like you just to tidy the things to the middle of your table for the moment because we're going to talk about all of the things that we've learned.
What made you decide to use data handling?
Right, we're doing data handling. We're using TextD spreadsheets in our ICT lessons. Looking at our bar charts, who can tell me which of the materials let the most light through?
Clean film.
Good girl. So it's a programme that the children are beginning to understand. So I wanted them to see an application for it other than teaching them how to use it.
There's a reason for using it.
That's right. If they get used to using the ICT now, by year 5, they'll be a little bit more independent.
I was really interested to see how you used your traffic light system. It's not something I use.
Remember, it's red or thumbs down if you found the lesson really, really difficult and you didn't understand any of it. It's thumbs in the middle if you had some understanding. And a thumbs up or a green for you really understood the lesson. Can you show me, please? I think it's really important for me to know how they feel the lesson went. It could be that they got it all wrong and given themselves a thumbs up. Yes. And so then I'd know that I would have to address that situation, or that they haven't got the confidence that they think that they've got it all wrong when really they've done a really good job. So, Harnuk, what material did you choose?
Cardboard.
Cardboard. And why did you choose cardboard?
Because it was strong.
So you thought straight away that you were going to use a really strong material. Jordan, which material did you choose?
Tissue paper.
You chose tissue paper. Why did you choose tissue paper?
Because I liked it and it was my favourite colour.
And Aaliyah, what did you choose? Do you want to hold yours up so that everyone can see?
Paper.
Why did you choose paper?
Because it was my favourite colour.
If you were going to make your glasses again, what would you do?
I would use a stronger material like card.
I'll definitely think much more carefully about how I'm going to approach a science lesson in future. Make sure that things have got a purpose. Make sure the children are really involved in what they're doing. So, for example, I will be using stories again to set the scene. George, can you tell me which material did you think would make the best lenses for the sunglasses?
Purple and pink film.
Purple and pink film. Do you want to bring them to the front for me, please? So let's make a pair of glasses using the best material for the frames and the best material for the lenses and see if Barney Bear likes it. Right, come on then. Let's put this here. Right, let's put them on Barney Bear. What do we think? Do you think this would make a good pair of sunglasses? Do you think we've helped him out today? Yeah! Well done, 3D. You've done a brilliant job.
It's getting dark, I know. It's horrible. It's getting colder as well.
In Year 5, Sukhbinder has shown her class an eclipse on the interactive whiteboard and, taking Rosemary's suggestion, asked them to predict what might happen if a solar eclipse lasted for a very long time.
People might think that it's bedtime, but it wouldn't be bedtime because it'll be very dark.
Working in groups, they prepared artwork, stories and drama to present to the whole class at the end of the lesson.
There is no evaporation because the sun is blocked, so there is no heat to evaporate the water.
All of the children that I spoke to really loved the ICT element.
Right.
They loved the fact that you were using the interactive whiteboard. And I think that you ought to definitely use that more in the future.
Yeah.
It would really help the children if you made it a bit more interactive, them coming to the front.
It's just a big black hole to me at the moment.
Not as hard as it looks.
The interactive bit where the children are going up, I find quite hard.
Right, well, that's something for us to work on.
Well, I'm going to go to one person on each table and I'm going to ask you to read out what your mission is.
Predict and find out what the effects on animals and plants would be if the sun was blocked out for weeks. Research what happened when an eclipse occurred and the sun was blocked out. Research and discuss the effects of the sun being blocked out for weeks.
There's a little bit more there, Bradley, isn't there?
Write a short play script to present your ideas.
You will be asked to present your ideas at the end.
I like the way you made it a mission. It was their mission to go and investigate the different things.
Let's start work, please.
All of the children had plenty of opportunity to come up with their own predictions, and I think that's really important.
It's not like fully dark, or is it? It will be like a vortex, though.
The activities allowed the children to develop these ideas.
There was a purpose to it. There was something they had to do and they were going to be in the spotlight. I think that's a big motivator. Whereas if it had been, this is an eclipse and this is what happens, write a paragraph about it. Oh, they're switched off because it's the same old thing and there's nothing new and nothing's expected of them.
Put the Earth there and pretend it's rotating around the sun.
What's the word for going around?
Orbit.
But what happens when there's an eclipse?
The moon is blocking the sun.
Could you show me that, Amy? What you children have to work out now is what each of you are going to say in the presentation. Amy, read out what you're going to say.
The moon is blocking the sun.
What's Terry going to say?
The moon covers up the sun and it causes the earth to be dark.
With that group, I often go to them to help them along. I really felt they didn't need my help.
Yeah,
they
worked independently.
Yeah,
yes,
I needed some help to start. And the fact that they organised themselves in a group and helped each other.
Very good. So which animals are you going to do?
Fox.
Why would you do a fox? Why did you choose that one?
Nocturnal.
That's a good word, nocturnal. Yeah. What other animals do you know that are nocturnal?
Owls come out at night.
Brilliant, that's a good one. So you could do a tree with an owl in it.
You could have Josh shouting out something, saying how we're going to get our food.
The group who went away to the satellite suite, they were dealing with first-hand accounts. And I think that's the first time I've given them that. It's not from like
not from a textbook.
No, not from a textbook. It's not reported by somebody else. And we've come to a really, really important part of our lesson, your presentations. From your presentations, we will find out what you've actually learnt this morning. Do you think it was too literacy-based, or do you think some science came through?
No, I think some science did come through. It was very much literacy-based.
Yes.
But they had all their ideas were there.
It was just a twitch of pitch black that hit us first. Then the street lights went on and it got darker.
The sea seemed choppy, about 30% through thin cloud. The birds didn't like it because they flew away.
The weather forecast wasn't too good. It was raining all day and there was no sign that it would clear. Nothing but clouds could be seen.
If you could, out of my lesson, if you could pick a particular snapshot where you felt the children were being creative, what would you choose?
Oh, it would definitely have to be the play script.
Right.
Okay, although it was literacy based, there was so much science in there.
What's happening? I'm scared. Me too. When will it end?
How are we going to get the food?
The water is going to freeze.
There is no light. How will we get to school?
Yippee, no school!
Getting out of this country. There's no point. It affects the whole world, didn't you know? I'm thirsty.
Look, it's finally ended.
And they were being really creative and they were beginning to act out, and I think given a little bit longer you would have got a little performance.
Yeah.
And I think it was really good.
We ought to ask what the measure of successful CPD is. In the case of Sukhbinder and Claire, it probably will be whether they've enjoyed the process and whether they feel motivated to continue in the same vein. And hopefully in the future they will continue collaborating, continue risk-taking and all the things they've been doing over the past few weeks.